Hello, and welcome to Feminine Emergence. I'm your host, Stephanie Briggs, and I'm thrilled to be speaking today with Lisa Love. Welcome, Lisa. I'm so glad you could be here today as part of this event.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
So, Lisa, I'm going to start by just reading your bio to let people know about you and your work, anybody who doesn't already know you. So Lisa serves as a certified master life coach, spiritual teacher, and energetic healer who empowers you to rise up into the full evolutionary potential of your soul. Knowing that true transformation happens when we tend to the whole person, Lisa became professionally trained in many modalities. She is a master level transpersonal life coach, meditation instructor, nature connected coach, energetic healer, and certified wellness educator. Lisa has been a womb keeper of the 13th rite of the womb since 2013. She is a second-year initiate of the Deep Feminine Mysteries by way of her mystery school. Due to the positive shifts her clients were having, Lisa was asked to teach her coaching skills at the American School of Professional Life Coaching, and her guided meditations have been featured on the popular meditation app Prana Heart. Lisa believes that love is the medicine the world needs most at this time, and knowing that all healing begins within, she assists others to cultivate loving kindness toward themselves. Her heart-centered work supports individuals to shift away from the noise of the mind and surrender into the tranquil intuition of the soul. Lisa offers an integrated approach that invites you to explore the fullness of your being and empowers you to awaken to soul-level awareness. This process activates and stabilizes the flourishing of your soul and produces a tangible transformation in your world. What brings Lisa the greatest joy is to be of service to those who are ready to walk down the path of their personal evolution. She lends herself as a guide who inspires you to move in the direction of what brings you to life. Awesome. So excited you're here. And you're going to be speaking to us today about the energetic womb.
Yes.
An interesting topic. So before we kind of get into that, I wonder if you could just start us off by sharing a little bit about you and your journey and how you came to be doing this work that you do as a coach and a spiritual guide.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Um, it really came forth out of my own healing journey. I unfortunately was sexually abused as a small child and was experiencing a lot of PTSD. I didn't really realize I was experiencing PTSD, and I saw a lot of different therapists, and no one really pointed that out. And I had tried all these different methods and modalities that didn't work. And it was out of sheer desperation, actually, that I got to this point where I was like, okay, nothing's working. I've tried everything. It had been years and years of working for my own healing, my own peace. And I just had this insight one day that I needed to research feminine energy. I don't know where it came from, probably a prayer, in my own heart and divine grace coming into my consciousness. So I started researching feminine energy and learning about the womb space and practicing it within myself of journeying into my womb and realizing how much the womb can hold, and that it was really at the seat and the key of what had happened to me as a young girl, being sexually abused, having trauma in that area, and me reclaiming that part of myself and really working energetically with bringing that part of myself back into balance and back into wholeness. And as I went through that process, I began to shift and change. I began to feel more grounded, more confident, more secure. People in my life, close people, my mom, began to make comments like, wow, Lisa, like something's really shifting here. What are you doing? And because it had such a profound effect on me, I then, of course, wanted to share that with other women, and it just began to happen naturally. I had women start to ask me questions. They wanted to know, why I was so radiant, or the level of confidence that I had, close female friends. And so then I began to develop workshops and take more training for myself. And it just has progressed and spiraled from there. And I can honestly say that, about 10 years ago, the woman that I was then, and just even the human being that I was then, and how I felt moving through my day, moving through my world, and who I am now, it's like a whole nother lifetime. I know that that part of me, that little girl, she's still with me, but she's so much healthier and stronger and integrated. And my womb space is very, very clear. And I've always had a sensitivity to energy my whole life, and have been interested in meditation. I started meditating when I was like 14 and doing yoga. And so that was always there. And so it was really just this blending of the two, of then getting into more of the feminine energy healing.
Thank you so for being so open and sharing about your journey. And I really resonate with what you said about like looking back at how you were 10 years ago and the drastic shifts. Like I I also feel that way about my journey. And it's like amazing what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Really invest in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to go just a little bit deeper into this. You kind of touched on this concept of the energetic womb space, or maybe it's not just a concept. Is this something that everybody has? Like, is this just innate to humans, or is this something just if you physically have a womb? Could you kind of just like give us the intro to that?
Absolutely, yes. Um, so a lot of times in my work, I have women ask me, well, I've had a hysterectomy. I no longer have a womb, or I'm no longer menstruating, or can my daughter attend one of your workshops? She's only 14. And the answer is yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Because really the womb space is beyond a physical organ. And it's the concept of like the phantom limb. We've all heard about this with people who have had an arm cut off, but they still feel their arm present. The womb is the same way. And so for women who have had a hysterectomy, the physical organ of the womb is no longer there, but that energy exists. And even for men, or women who identify more in the masculine energy, we all still have this energetic womb. And that's why I really like to preface it in that way of the energetic womb versus the actual womb itself. Um, and we think about, these metaphysical concepts of the universe, space being the womb, right? Earth being the feminine energy and the womb of Earth. They don't have actual physical organs, but we have that same concept, this energetic space that they hold to birth and gestate life, to create life. We all contain that potential. We all contain that energy. And men as well. We all have an inner feminine, we all have an inner masculine. And it's what energy we're residing most in, or what energy we're identifying most in. But we still all have this aspect of masculine and feminine. The masculine is what helps us get the work done. The feminine is that part where we want to nurture ourselves, where we want to nurture others. So the energetic womb is this space within all of us that helps us to create, gestate, birth our own life, our own being, our creative visions that we want to put forth into the world. And I would also say the energetic womb is also a space that is a part of our regeneration. It's our altar of life. What does the physical womb do every month? Right? It builds up. And then if the seed hasn't been planted, then it sheds and it releases. The womb knows how to regenerate herself. And so this space is very important to our own process of creation and regeneration.
Okay, so I'm starting to get it a little bit more. So could you say a little more about like how does this work? Like how do we experience that we're in touch with this part of our, is it part of our energy body, would you say?
So it is within our energy field, and it's also deep within our body. So a good way to start to feel into your energetic womb is with the womb mudra. And so what that is you can bring your fingers into this triangular position, and then you're placing these top two fingers right into your belly button. So if you want to try that with me.
All right.
So you're bringing your thumbs together, you're placing them right into your belly button. And then that downward triangle is reaching right down to the top of your pelvic bone. So this space in the center of the triangle, this is the energetic womb space. And
Hmm.
really feeling into it now. So it resides into the middle, the very middle of your body. And even as I'm tuning into it, I can feel it's like this, right? It's a very grounding, centering. I can feel my whole body relaxing. I can feel it's like my whole pelvis wants to sink into the earth. It's a very downward flow. You can probably hear my voice has changed. Just tuning into this.
Hmm.
So this is how we start to make this connection with this part of ourselves and really just presencing into what is here, what is authentically here, right? A lot of times when we're doing energy work or meditations, there's this level of visualization that people want you to do, or now you're going to create this grounding cord that goes into the earth and it looks like this and it feels like that. When we work with the womb, the energetic womb, it's all about authenticity. It's all about what is actually here. Maybe I don't feel anything, and that's okay. Maybe it feels, tense and tight and it feels uncomfortable. That's okay too. Just being present with what is authentically here. The feminine energy is an energy that, to really bring that forth into your life, what does the feminine typically need? She needs to be accepted for right where she is. You tell a woman that, there's something not right with her and she typically wants to run and hide, she doesn't want to be seen. But when we embrace her with love and total acceptance and let her know that she's okay just as she is, she really softens and blossoms into her true radiance. So that same concept we apply to the energetic womb of being present, holding, allowing, being with what is authentically. And then from there, we can proceed with the rest. Did that answer your question? I feel like there was a whole lot more that you had asked. I'm not sure if I.
Yeah, well, I'm just really noticing how this mudra that you invited us to try is, it really does, it really did help me connect in, and I could feel also how my energy kind of dropped down, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, this is like a place I can rest here.
Yes.
It feels really good, because I think that we oftentimes in our modern way of life, like we're so up here in our heads, right?
Yes.
And it's really like a relief to just come back down
Mm-hmm.
into that place of being held. And I also appreciate what you said about how, a lot of the meditation practices, guided meditations, are really offering you like a visualization, which can be really helpful
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people, but that can also kind of take you up again into the head if you're trying to, if you're in that realm of thinking and visualizing, and not, it's can be harder to actually feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really appreciate you just like explaining that and really giving us an experience so we can all just feel it for ourselves and feel whatever might be there, as you said, whether
Yeah.
it's tension or or relaxation or numbness.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really powerful and important for all of us.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, if you could share a bit of how and why it is that we aren't typically that connected to this womb space, like
Mm-hmm.
these days. What gets in the way? Like, why is it kind of like a revelation to me that I'm connecting with this?
Hmm. Well, oh, that's such a big, a big topic.
Yeah.
But I really, to me, it's symbolized in the way we're treating the earth, the way that we are disrespecting women, right? Through media, women are sex objects. We're disrespecting the earth in her fertile life. And I feel that the womb space is the same. I mean, the womb is the altar of life. The earth is the altar of life. And when we degrade that altar of life to a sexual object or this energy of the earth that we need to consume and rape, pillage, plunder, I feel that then there's this disassociation, there's this disconnection from the gifts and the beauty of the feminine. And most women are taught that their gift in this world is their physical beauty or their sexual energy, which is all this external world. And it does keep us in our head. Well, what do I look like? And am I dressed okay? And is he gonna like this? And what's my girlfriend gonna think? And right. And you said it beautifully a few moments ago, where you said, when you tuned into the womb mudra, you felt the energy drop into your pelvic bowl and you came out of your head. And most of us are going around in our head. The mental sphere is the masculine energy. That's the man's place of power, or the feminine who identifies as masculine. That's the place of power of the masculine. The place of power of the feminine is really, it's our womb space, and it's our womb. And I feel that it's a hundreds and hundreds of years of keeping the woman disempowered, right? We only were allowed to vote in the 70s. We were burned at the stake and silenced, and all of these different things that happened to the feminine that really kept us out of our place of power. And now what I see is women are competing in a man's world. They're trying to be on top in business. They're trying to, make their careers work and make all this money. And so they're more up in the masculine sphere. And so if we really drop down into that space of the womb and take our power back, our sovereignty back, and connect in with the energy of the earth, the mother earth, right? She's below our feet. She's grounded. She's strong. And so it's that sinking in. So I feel that those are the reasons. I mean, it's generational. It's ancient. And with what you're doing now in this summit, right? The feminine emergence. We all know this. The Dalai Lama said, it's the Western woman who is going to save the world. And here we are. But in order for us to do that as women, we really need to come back into our place of power and to come from this authenticity of the womb space.
I think that, as you said, like, we're all now trying to operate in this mental space now. Like, that's kind of how we've learned to survive, by thinking our way through everything and just figuring it out. I know that's something that I'm continuously in my learning about, is how to really, again, like, drop into that place of surrendering and going with the flow of my process and the flow of life, and not trying to get, this is the right answer, or this is the one right thing, or I'm gonna like create this whole, detailed plan of, like, no, I'm gonna let this unfold. And like, that's really a revelation, I think, for the way that many of us have learned to exist, or sort of exist. I mean, it's not, to my mind, it's not really fully existing. It's kind of like we're only existing in with a part. So I'm curious if you could, like, you mentioned a lot about this kind of like big picture sort of oppression and suppression and all the trauma that's happened and like on a societal level, but like you also mentioned at the start about your journey with sexual abuse. So like how does this wounding happen like on an individual level, and what, like, can you speak to how that actually works energetically in the womb
Mm,
space?
absolutely. So the womb as an organ is an empty vessel, right? And when there's life, when there's a baby, then the womb fills up with the baby, then it releases the baby, and then it's back to an empty vessel. And there's this concept of the womb, being like a purse. And like typically there's a woman with a purse and everybody in the family is like, oh, can you hold this? And can you hold this? And can you put this in your purse? And I would say the womb is the same, where we're not really realizing it, but because it is an empty vessel energetically, that we are absorbing and holding. The womb gestates and holds. We're holding and we're absorbing from our environment, from the words that have been spoken to us, from the lovers that enter us, right? The masculine energy enters into the vaginal canal, leaves his essence. So the womb can start to hold and store within her emptiness all of these different things. So sexual abuse, the energy of your partner, or maybe he said harsh words or said something about your body, or those kind of things, they're going to be held within the womb. Women who have had abortions, miscarriages, birthing trauma, those energies can be held within the womb. Of course, sexual abuse, the way that we speak to ourselves, our own thoughts and feelings about our beauty, or we think that we're not beautiful, those things can also be held in the womb. The womb, the energetic womb, is in the space of the second chakra, which is the chakra of water. And we also think about, what does water do, right? It absorbs what you put into it. It holds what you put into it, but it also has a very powerful ability to cleanse out. So without you even realizing it, you can be holding and storing other people's energies, and your own traumas within the womb. And so that's where we get into the energetic womb, because those energies are held within. And that's a lot of the work that I do with women, is helping them to release those energies from the womb, to release the lovers, to release the traumas. And like you experienced when you did the womb mudra, there's this settling, there's this grounding, there's this softening. And a lot of women, if I was one of those women, I couldn't feel that. I never felt that. I was always anxious, and, I had PTSD really bad. And so there was always this sense of anxiety or not feeling safe. And once I started doing this womb work, and I really went in and I was clearing out the trauma of what happened to me as a child, that was all stored within there. And I reclaimed my womb space for myself, full of my own energy, full of the energy of the earth, like the divine ultimate mother feminine energy. So that's there. And now it's like, oh, here I am. Now I can settle. Now I feel grounded. Now I feel safe. Now I feel soft and relaxed. So that's, two different examples of what it could be, and then the potential of what we can have once we're clearing out these different aspects of what can be held and stored within the womb.
Hmm. Yeah, I relate so much to what you shared about that PTSD experience of kind of the ever-present anxiety, and how it's really hard to feel when you're in that. And so I'm curious if you could share, like, for other people who are out there listening, who are relating to this, who feel like, maybe this is something that I want to work on. Like, how do they get started? Like, how do you help somebody move from that place of anxiety and disconnection from this part of themselves into a place of greater connection and grounding?
Mm. I feel that the first place for anyone to start, whether male or female, because even men or people who identify more with the masculine have an inner feminine that can also have wounding. So the first place to begin is really with that womb mudra, like placing your fingertips in your belly button, allowing that top portion or the bottom portion of the triangle to rest on the pelvic bone. And I invite you to do that at night. When you're laying down, you're in bed, it's very simple, just placing your hands there and beginning to develop a relationship. And just like any friendship, any relationship, it takes time. It takes time to really develop a lifelong friend. So, and that's something that, people can do on their own. They don't need anybody else to help them with that. And that's what I feel my purpose is to empower people to be able to do this for themselves. So there's that, every night before you go to bed, placing your hands in the womb mudra and tuning in and just saying hello and feeling what's there and speaking to this energetic womb, speaking to your inner feminine and letting her know that you want to develop a relationship. You want to hear what she has to say, that you're here for her and you want to develop this new relationship. So that would be the first place to start. And then beyond that, the work that I do is helping women and men to dive a little deeper. I've found that, a lot of the people that I work with do have pain and anxiety and fear and trauma. And so it's hard for them to go there and to go there by themselves because it brings up too much. And so when you have somebody there to presence into that with you, to help hold that space that they're not alone with that pain, then we go in together, we see what's there. And then there's usually a stepwise process. At first, women say, I can't feel anything. And so we work with the numbness, we work with developing that relationship. And then we go from that to, oh my gosh, like I had no idea there was all this stuff in there. Like I remember one client who was dealing with some stuff with her boss. And when we tuned in, the only thing she saw in her womb was her boss. And I was like, well, yes, of course. Like we need to get him out of there so that you can reside there. So then it's a process of clearing energetically. And really, the way that I like to work is to, like you said, allow things to flow. What is authentically revealing? Some women may need to do a little bit more grounding work. Some women may be very grounded, and it's more about opening up the spaciousness of their energetic field to allowing more light in or more earth energy in.
So what I think I'm hearing you say is that sometimes we may have to feel these difficult things that have been kind of residing there, like the pain and the trauma. Yeah.
Definitely. We have to, the way out is through. We really have to contact it and go into it. And that's where the healing can occur. And a lot of times what happens is, people drowned out the pain through addictions, overeating, watching TV, distractions. And so even just the thought of putting their hands on the womb space at night before they go to bed can bring up a lot of resistance. So yeah, we definitely have to feel it and feel everything that's there. And we can be surprised too. Like you can put your hands on your womb and feel this whole garden of beauty. So it doesn't mean that, there's always going to be trauma and pain there.
I love that. A garden of beauty. That's
Mm-hmm.
such a beautiful metaphor.
Mm.
Um, and I also love what, how you're describing, like really like building this relationship with this part of our bodies and this part of ourselves and part of our experience. And, it's the same way that I think about, again, that we need to all learn how to be more in relationship with the earth as well. I
Mm-hmm.
think I totally agree with you that these are connected.
Mm-hmm.
And that if we could all be in relationship, then I think there'd be a lot less violence,
Mm.
so I think I love that you're helping people with this. And
Mm.
I I feel like you'd be really great support because you're so gentle, and I
Mm.
can feel your compassion and the heart that you bring. And
Mm.
I'm curious if you could share just a little bit about, like, do you have a vision of what's possible both for individuals but also like in the collective, if more of us can do this work of really tapping in and grounding in and bringing love to this part, like what can happen?
Mm. Great question. Individually, I feel that we become embodied, we become empowered, we become whole. A lot of embodiment is really bringing our spirit, bringing our soul fully into our body and acting from that aligned place. And so if you think about bringing your spirit and your soul into your body, where is it going to root and ground into? It's going to ground right into that energetic womb space. But if there's pain and fear and trauma, just even your own negative thoughts that you're storing within that space, it's going to be hard to anchor and fully come into that embodiment, right? Because there's a part of you that's disconnected, there's a part of you that's split off. So that's the first place of that we can really become embodied, we can really become sovereign, and that sense that you felt of grounded and safe within our own being. And then from there, I envision that if the whole planet of people were operating from that space, I have every confidence that we could heal and restore the balance of the earth, because we would start to see how the earth is she's us, we are her, she is the great mother. And so there's that deep connection of I'm embodied, I'm sovereign, and I'm whole. And I would never hurt myself, I would never hurt another, I do not want to hurt the earth, right? It brings us into a whole different level of living our divinity and seeing self as other, self as earth.
That's so beautiful. I
Mm.
love that. And yeah, so I'm hearing it's really important for each of us. Like, we can all be part of this process and part of creating this vision and bringing it into form through
Mm-hmm.
through bringing love to ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is, it is the path of self-love. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
self-acceptance for wherever we are in this moment, trauma and all, disassociation and all, it's all welcome. It's all welcome in the altar of life that is the womb and the altar of life that is the earth, right? Like we've really polluted the earth, and she just continues to produce fruits and flowers and trees, and right, that's our same potential. We carry that same space within us. That's the regenerative potential of the womb, and that's available to each and every one of us.
Wow. Wow. Well, I know I'm going to start doing this mudra. You have inspired me, and I'm sure others out there. So I'm just really grateful.
Mm.
And you're offering us something else today. You're offering a free gift to our audience that'll kind of take them a little bit more into this process. Could you just tell us what that is?
Yes. This is something called the Temple of the Moon, and it's a 4-day shamanic womb journey. And it's to be done while you're menstruating or while you're bleeding. Now, a lot of women will say, oh, I'm not menstruating, or I don't have a womb, or if a man is listening and, he wants to do it, it's all good. Everyone, once again, is welcome. And for those people in that situation, I would say to begin on the new moon. And for the women who are, bleeding and, have their female organs, that they would start when they first begin bleeding. And what this is each day you receive a different meditation. And the meditation is intended to support the spiritual aspect of what's happening when we're bleeding. Right? When we're bleeding, the cervix is open. The only other time the cervix is open is when we're giving birth. So it is a very spiritually potent time for us to tap into this divine feminine. It's a very sacred time for us to heal and to regenerate, right? There's a shedding, there's a releasing that's happening. And within that shedding and releasing, we can utilize that to also shed and release those aspects of ourselves that are wounded, held in fear, what have you, so that we can regenerate and come into this new state of alignment with our divine feminine potential. And that's why I say it's good for anyone. You know, anyone can do this.
Thank you so much. This sounds like really magical. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really generous of you to offer that. So thank you. And if you're out there watching or listening and you want to get your copy, you can just click on the link down below to get that. And before we finish up today, Lisa, could you just share a little bit about how people can work with you if they're wanting to take this a little bit deeper, or if there's anything you have coming up that you want to let us know about?
Absolutely. So it's easy to contact me. My website is soul-nature.com. I'm sure you'll have a link. So you can go there and look at all the different services that I offer. And I would like to say that I also offer a sliding scale. So the work that I do does have a set price, but I do not want anybody to be held back from this due to money. So I work on a sliding scale. All you have to do is inquire, and I'm here. And as far as things coming up, I do have a course called Shakti Rising that I'll be offering in 2019, which really is a stepwise process of helping women to connect with the womb, feel the difference between the different levels of energy in their body, and then going through the whole process of coming more deeply into the spiritual aspect. And so that's also on the website as well if you want to find out more.
Awesome. So yeah, if you're out there listening, definitely check out Lisa's website and get a little bit more info about what she has to offer and how she can support you. And Lisa, I just want to thank you again so much for being here today and bringing your gentle spirit and your reverence and your heart. And I know that you can create like a really safe space for
Mm.
people to work through what it can be a challenging process. And I think it's so important to have that support. So
Yeah.
I just want to thank you. And for those of you who are out there listening, I also want to thank you for being here today, for hearing what has been shared and for showing up. And I just want to wish you all the best on your journey.